How to avoid couples therapy in Cuenca, Ecuador.
Is it possible?
Take one.
We think so. Welcome back to another Flynn's on the Fly adventure.
Yeah.
We thought it might be helpful for some of you that may be considering moving or making a big move to a country like Ecuador, and you're married and partnered, and
What to expect when you're expecting to move.
shit starts getting real.
Yep.
I would say not all of these are in order of importance necessarily, but I would say the number one thing is you both really need to be on the same page about making the move. It might be tempting to really try to convince your significant other that this is a really good idea. I would say, though, that's not going to end well. Like, this is something we had talked about since we got married. We've known over the last 13 years that when it was time to make the jump, we were going to do it. So we didn't have to convince each other that it was a good idea. The second thing I would say is you really have to like each other. Like, loving each other is not going to be enough. You are about to embark on an endeavor where you're going to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with the same person.
Every day.
You're going to make every decision together. You know, especially in the beginning, moving to a new country is, you know, you're not going to be super sure of yourself. You're not going to really know your surroundings. So you're going to be very dependent on each other. And if you have been, say, you're retiring to do this and you're not used to spending that much time together, it's going to be a big adjustment. Like, Matt worked a lot. He worked a lot in the States, so we've never spent this much time together. And we realized, wow, we really do. We really do like each other.
Lucky for you.
Not to say there haven't been some bumps. But if you don't like each other there, you're probably not going to like each other here. And that's, you know, a pretty common thing after the kids grow up and move out. You're getting back to each other and maybe realizing that's a relationship that may have been neglected. So something to think about.
If you're not on the same spiritual plane, like pretty damn close, and you come down here, move into another country, you're going to have some way different ideas and expectations floating around. So you really need to sort through some stuff.
Yeah, anything you've maybe tried to pretend isn't an issue or sweep under the rug, those things are going to come
Oh yeah,
front and center. The third tip or recommendation we have really goes hand in hand with being on the same page, liking each other, and it's being willing to communicate, to be honest with each other, to use your grown-up words and have grown-up conversations.
Words, not just passive-aggressive manipulation. Or sarcasm.
Oh yeah, or sarcasm. Because it's tempting to think the other person should know what you're feeling, but nobody's a mind reader.
No.
And you need to be on the same page. So to say, hey, you know, this is how I'm feeling about this, and not do it in the midst of everything blowing up, right? Because that's going to open a whole nother can of worms. But to be willing to share your thoughts and feelings and perspectives from a place where everything is easy, not when you're like wanting to, you know, wish ill upon the other person.
Yeah.
The next ones are kind of having a game plan for things that might come up. Like moving to a new country, any country, you know, other than your home country, is going to have an adjustment period. And one of you might adjust faster than the other one. That happened with us, you know, right from the beginning. Once we got to Cuenca, Matt was like, this is it. This is home. I love this place. I'm going to stay here forever. And I was in a place of, oh my God, what have we done? And maybe not necessarily communicating that as clearly as I could, so he didn't get it that I was having a hard time. Not because I was sad we left the United States, but like he worked all the time. He was happy to not be working.
Oh yeah.
And I had a lot of friends that I loved dearly, and I still miss terribly. But those first few months of being in Cuenca were challenging for me for sure. And to be willing to have compassion for what the other one is experiencing, even if it's not the same thing that you are experiencing.
Right.
It's called empathy. And empathy
It's a
is
real
a good
deal.
thing.
And words.
And words. And
Adult
honesty.
words.
And liking each other.
Yeah.
And not expecting the other person to make it right. Like I knew Matt couldn't solve this. He couldn't fix anything. I think sometimes for men, that's a tricky place to be. Like, I just had to go through it. I had to process my feelings, and slowly I got there. And I do love it here. Cuenca has always been amazing. Anytime you say yes to moving forward in one direction, though, you're saying no to an infinite number of other things. And there's a mourning process that goes along with that, like a mourning, a grieving process. So you just have to go through it.
And be honest.
You're seeing a trend here. The honesty and using your words is important.
Yep.
So, more than likely, it seems like everything I'm about to talk about are issues I've had and he hasn't. But one of you is probably going to have tummy troubles. Whether it's, the altitude, whether it is digestional parasites, getting used to a new microbiome, whatever it is, and that can take you out for a while. So know that, and then you'll be more likely to have compassion for the other person while they're going through that. Because hopefully it doesn't happen to either of you, but just in case it does, especially if you're the one it doesn't happen to, and you're like, oh, I can eat anything, I have a stomach like a dog. Well, good for you. Your partner may not be on that same page and need a little extra love and compassion.
Yep.
And if you don't like each other, you're gonna have a hard time doing that. There is also the issue of altitude. So if you're planning on moving to the highlands, like Quito, Cotacachi, or Cuenca, there's no way, like say you even take an exploratory trip and you're here for a week or 2 weeks, that's great. That's not enough time to know if the altitude is really going to affect you. And so are you going to be willing to recalibrate and move to the coast? I know for us, we didn't know. We didn't do an exploratory trip. We just kind of jumped in, and thankfully we've both been pretty acclimated. Like I get more out of breath than he does if we're like dancing and trying to sing or walk really fast and talk at the same time.
Right.
He just might talk less than I do though.
You use up words. I save my words.
Someone called you laconic in a video. So I'm probably the yin to the yang and verbose.
Yep. It's okay.
In any case, what will your plan be if it doesn't work? Is the coast an acceptable alternative, or is that something that would send you back to the States? And again, it might not happen to both of you, so it might be one of you that has trouble. How is the other one going to respond to that possibility?
Yeah.
Because neither one of us wanted to live at the coast. I mean, if that was the worst thing that happened and we didn't adjust to the altitude, we probably would have pivoted and been okay with that, but we're really glad.
We like to visit the coast,
Yes.
but that's probably not our ideal full-time living place.
Right. Just one more thing, and that is a difference in activity levels. Female expat community is very, very active. Like, you will never have the opportunity to be bored unless you really choose it. There's something going on all the time. And so it's like, how do you respond when, because I know at first when we got here, like I wouldn't have wanted to do anything without him. I went from being a very independent, do my own thing kind of person to, I don't speak the language, we're in a totally foreign place. So we always did everything together. You can't, that's really unsustainable, I feel. You can call me wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong if you want, but both people have to have their own thing that they go and do. And so it's like not taking it personally when one person says they don't want to go do that activity or that thing, and then still giving yourself permission to do it anyway and not feeling like you've been, abandoned, or like just not take it personally.
And it's okay to have time apart like that, to do your own thing. You don't have to be connected at the hip 24/7.
It's just that it's likely in the first few months that you will be. And then once you get comfortable, you're familiar with your surroundings, then it'll be easier. And then, because then when you come back together, you have something to talk about. If you do everything together all the time, So think about, like, is that going to affect you not being on the same page when it comes to doing those things?
And you probably won't know, but you have to be able to communicate. If you're having communication problems before you move, it ain't gonna get any better after you move.
All right, so hopefully we've shared some things with you that you will find helpful when it comes to discerning your course of action and if you're going to make the move or not make the move. Maybe we've given you some things to think about even if you're not considering making the move.
And if you're fighting about this, maybe you should call a couple therapist.
And the stigma. Therapy works. All right, I think that's all we have for
That's it.
today. We will see you again soon. Peace out. From
Peace
Cuenca,
out.
Ecuador.
Cuenca, Ecuador, signing out.
Whoop, whoop.